Look, I've formed romantic connections, okay? They were real. They happened. I'm qualified. We're in a weird spot. The dating landscape sucks. There's a gender war. People are secretly recording you on your first date at the Cheesecake Factory. What are we doing? Skit or not, stop doing that. I'm not gonna make this super long. I don't think you need to have all the answers. I don't think you should be scouring the internet for ways to bond with people. A lot of this stuff you just can't teach. You gotta go do it, as uncomfortable as that might sound. So, if you need tips on how to form and maintain a healthy romantic relationship, I have some, and they're free.
This is not my life. It's just a fun farewell to a friend. It's just a fun farewell to a friend. This is not my life. It's just a fun.
It's debated whether this is biologically programmed into our brains or shaped by the bombardment of media we are subjected to by birth. Either way, it's safe to say we have assumptions, beliefs that point us in a specific direction. Your ideas about romance come from somewhere, and usually you didn't really get a choice. Most of us, it's movies, media, books, our parents, our grandparents. I don't want to knock anybody, but go back and watch some of your favorite media and just look at how corny the romance is. And like half the time it didn't need to be there. It didn't really service the plot at all. It was just a thing to do in the 90s. Could you imagine going to film school and working your way up to become a director and you're watching your script come to life and you're in an executive meeting and they're like, this is good, but what if two people kissed? It's a good thing to know where your ideas of romance and intimacy come from, because if you don't, there's a good chance that your understanding might be a little flawed. You get out into the real world and you realize it's not what it seemed to be. There's a lot missing. It's not love at first sight. There are no butterflies in your stomach. It's actually in your chest, and it's called anxiety. There's no cute, furry supporting character helping you through any of this. It's confusing, and suddenly you have to deal with not only your own fears and insecurities, but you have to mash them up with someone else. You have to make an educated guess on somebody's character and put a little bit of trust and a little bit of faith in a stranger. And there's no possible way of knowing how it's gonna turn out until it actually happens. The very first thing to understand is you don't get to build a romantic connection with whoever you want. They have to be a willing participant. Duh, but like, no, cause some of y'all don't get it. There are plenty of fish in the sea, yes, but the world is not your oyster. Just because you think somebody is attractive, just because you see them all the time, does not mean the possibility to build a romantic connection exists.
You don't be kissing my hand. I don't know where your lips been.
Building a romantic connection does not mean forcing one. Some people are just in your life to be in your life, and they don't want you. And there's nothing you can do about it. Moving on, we got 4 parts. The first one, communication.
What do you want?
Rematch.
I mean, in our relationship.
This feels like a trap.
It's not a trap. It's no bullshit. What do you want? You want me to go first?
Please.
I want to be in a committed relationship where I'm valued as a human being and not as an accessory that you can fuck.
That's a good answer.
There's just no way around this. This is the connection. This is the most important thing. You need to get comfortable expressing yourself, and you need to be very clear, very explicit in the beginning. Trust me, it just works out better that way. You gotta use your words. It gets confusing. There's you, and then there's them. and then there's who you think they are, and then there's who you think they think you are. What? It's a lot. And the only way to make sense of it is to be a yapper. They don't know unless you tell them. You should want to tell them so they get things right and y'all are on the same page. One of the first things you should do before you start pursuing any romantic connection with anybody is to talk about it. What does that look like for you? What are we?
What's going on here with us?
Who cares?
And if you have no desire to have these discussions, oh baby, like what are you doing? You can talk about these important things before the connection is fully formed. That's okay. Because how do you know where you're going? Talk about boundaries. Talk about what's considered cheating. Talk about what a romantic connection means to each of you individually. This is an ongoing thing. You don't just have one uncomfortable or deep conversation in the beginning. Like, yes, do that, please. But also, anytime it's appropriate, anytime something comes up, get in the habit of talking to this person about the things that matter to y'all. Continue to have these conversations. Try not to leave them in the dark, especially in the beginning. If he wanted to, he would, but like, what is it? Arguments and disagreements will happen, but I promise you they will happen less if y'all talk more and have a clear understanding of how things work. Something crazy happened, talk to them. They did something you like, talk to them about it. They did something you didn't like, talk to them about it. Like, this is the person you're choosing. And if you're not telling them, then who are you telling? The next one is my personal favorite, curiosity. You need to be curious.
Like Mr. Rager.
You see my shit?
Wait. Mr. Rager? That's you?
You need to be curious about them, even if you know them well. This is gold. This is a drug. This is the spark that old people complain about not having in their marriages. It's mainly the idea that you exist and you go through life, trials and tribulations, writing your own story, and someone comes along and they want to read it? Every chapter? In a world where our attention is so easily divided and taken from us, somebody wanting to know you is such a good feeling. I'm not gonna lie, that's one of the best gifts you can give somebody. Sometimes we need another person to help us learn about ourselves, and to want to be known is such a gift. I gotta call my baby.
Your call has been forwarded to an automatic...
Of course you can't learn everything about somebody, but even the idea that you're trying to, being committed to understanding, seeing things in them that they can't see in themselves, paying attention, that's how you keep the fire burning. That's how you continue to foster the connection. Take notes, literally. Jot down some cute things about them. Get in the habit of knowing and wanting to know them. It's really fun. Be a detective, but don't lurk. That's weird. There should be limits on how far you'll go to investigate things, especially when you can just ask them. Ask them about their dreams, their passions. I don't care how corny that is. Ask them about their favorite show. Step into their world for a little bit. They should be doing the same thing for you. And if you have no desire to do this, I don't know, get over it. This is how you keep things going. Be curious, seek answers every now and then. Here we go. Look, I'm just gonna say it. You gotta be vulnerable. Like, there's no way around it. Being nonchalant is corny. Whatever you gotta do, you might have to work on some self-esteem, insecurities, but at some point, you gotta do it. You gotta open up your stupid little heart and you gotta let people in. Even if you don't like it. You're not gonna get very far if you don't open that door. This is how you learn about them, about yourself. This is how you deepen that connection. You're gonna uncover a lot of truths about yourself. You're gonna discover some wounds you didn't know you had, some good things too, but maybe you're one of those people that has a lot of wounds to share, just some big old gaping holes.
Oh my God.
Easier said than done. Being vulnerable sucks, especially in the beginning, but you don't need to feel stupid for being vulnerable, ever. You're supposed to be vulnerable. It only hurts so much because you don't ever do it. And the more you do it, the sooner you realize it's less about other people and it's more about you. It's more about you trusting yourself to lay things out for people to see, even if it's a mess. We don't get to pick and choose which pieces of a person we want to accept. We have to accept the whole thing, the good and the flaws, all of it. There's just a point where you have to stop being mysterious and embrace the fear of being perceived, dude, and possibly judged, even if it's for a split second. Even if they might say something cartoonishly clumsy and it shatters your confidence for a couple minutes. It's new for a lot of us. I'm not saying you need to be each other's therapist, but like, why not? At least for like a day, a couple minutes. Shouldn't you be? Aren't y'all connecting? I don't think providing a supportive place within a connection is a bad thing. There's perks to being in a romantic connection with someone. It's okay to be vulnerable. It takes a lot to be vulnerable. So when you see someone being vulnerable, let them know, hey, I see you trying, thank you. And hopefully you're extended the same thing. We want to be connected, right? So do it. You don't have to share everything everywhere all at once. But people want to get deep, and if you can't swim, just say that. But this is how you learn to float. I wrote that. Alright, you're doing great. Last one. Authenticity. I know this word is overused, but let me actually explain.
I'm tired of this, Grandpa. That's too damn bad!
Believe it or not, if you want to build a real romantic connection, you gotta show up as the real you. Even if it's scary, even if you tried it out before. Being hurt doesn't give us permission to move strategically with other people when they're trying to be genuine with you. Like, this is how you miss out on people. This is how you miss out on experiences. Protect yourself, of course. Don't do anything stupid. Don't put in a bunch of effort when you're not getting anything in return. But how can we get things like a healthy partnership, unconditional love, acceptance? How can we get those things? How can someone accept you if you never give them the chance? You gotta be you. You gotta be authentic. You have to let them choose you. And the only way to do that is to drop everything else and show up authentically. That's what I am.
It's like diamonds.
You might have to accept the fact that you could get rejected, or you could have the best experience of your life. I'm gonna say this, and I know you guys won't judge me. I know this is a safe space. I tried to connect with people without showing them the real me. Stop doing that, especially romantically. That shit will not work. The less I tried to fit into everybody else's mold, the easier time I had finding someone who wanted me, just me. Stop trying to connect with people who you know don't fit with you. Stop trying to connect with people who you haven't shown the real you. That fake shit is not gonna work. The less we do that, the less we dwell, and the less we actually feel is lost when things don't work out. You don't need to be perfect. We didn't come off of an assembly line. Stop trying to be all these other things, because that fake shit won't last anyway. Like, why would that work? How are you forming a connection based off an inauthentic image? It doesn't work. It doesn't make sense. And maybe for some of y'all, that means you gotta take a little extra care to work on those negative beliefs, because your partner can't do that for you. They're not you. And that's not really fair to them. That's not how you build. And they can help you, you know, they can be encouraging, they can be uplifting, but at the end of the day, that's work that you gotta do. Because you're always in a relationship with yourself. You're always in a relationship, even if you're single, even if you're not connected to anybody, you're always in a relationship. Spend time with yourself, explore, put yourself in different situations. The only way to prepare and not be hurt when connections get tough is to know who you are within the connection. You can't do that if you're wearing a mask. You can't do that if you're not being yourself. You can't do that if they don't know the real you. Yeah, communication, curiosity, vulnerability, authenticity. This is just a guide, just a little push to kind of get you thinking about the right things. There's no blueprint to this. Every connection is going to be different, and that's what makes them beautiful. It's not 50-50, it's just y'all making that inner child happy again.